Hello, this is a recording to explain how to use HalSail as a race officer at Greenwich Yacht Club. HalSail is the software tool we're now using to record and calculate race results for cruiser races. So HalSail is a web application. You enter the address in the URL. You can also view it on your mobile phone, but some of the views on your mobile phone will restrict some of the functionality. So as a race officer, best to use the desktop version. Enter the login and password, which the cruiser captain will provide to you before you are a race officer, and click login. Now, all of the races should already be preloaded into the schedule here on HalSail. So the first thing as race officer you would want to do is just check that that is indeed the case. So click schedule and click race calendar. Let's imagine that you're race officer on 6th of October 2024 for the Old Man's Headbanger, which is the second race in the autumn series. And you can see here it is on the schedule, which is great. You can click it and you can see the details. Here we've listed the start time as 9 AM, but if the boat's actually started somewhat later, you would then just make that adjustment here and update this start to say the actual start time. You could also add some notes here about yourself as race officer and the conditions on the day, and then click save. The next thing you want to check is whether the boats that were participating in the race today are all listed in this software tool. And so you would go to the Boats tab and click List Boats. This is all the known boats that have ever raced or that we think will race at Greenwich Yacht Club. So really, hopefully, you're not going to need to add new boats, but perhaps a boat shows up and it is in fact their first time. So I'll just explain how to do that, even though it's unlikely you'll need to do it. You'd go back to the Boat tab and click New Boat. And then you would enter the name of the boat, such as Demo Joe, the owner, the helm, and then the most important thing is for you to enter the type of boat. So you can pretty much leave all these other fields empty, although I do tend to complete that one. You're going to type the type of boat, and hopefully it's going to come up from kind of the standard list like this. And then you would add the new boat. Actually, I'm not going to choose that one because I'm not 100% sure it's in the standard list. So we'll do Hunter 19. You don't need to select any of these other drop downs, just leave those. And you click Add New Boat. Now, the next thing you need to do is click this Not in Class button, because that's now going to populate. It went from a blank value to this populated value of 0.822. That is the base handicap under the National Handicap for Cruisers system that is listed for that type of boat. And so that's what you would start with for this boat. If the type of boat wasn't on the list, it didn't appear in the drop down, you would have entered it anyway. You would have written out the name of the boat, and then you would need to click and manually enter a value here. What we're doing in those cases is trying to find a boat at GYC that has a very similar Byron handicap to this boat that has no base handicap, and we would give it that same value. If you're unsure what to do in this situation, then just get in touch with a cruiser captain or say that you need to come back in a couple of days' time to determine what the handicap for this boat is. Okay, so hopefully you didn't have to deal with that and all the boats were on this list anyway. And I think I may have omitted to actually, the final step there, click save, because that demo boat didn't appear in this list now. So let's just assume there was a save button there that you would need to click. Okay, so Hopefully, though, the races in the schedule, the boats are all listed here, and now you are looking to enter the race results. So you go to enter new results, and if it's a day of the race, that's going to be what you see here. But let's click the next race in this case to be able to select the Old Man's Headbanger race. So we click the select button and we click enter the results. Again, you might be prompted to add some details about the race, which you can do. Okay, my demo boats have now appeared. So to enter the results, you click enter the result next to the boat that participated, and you would just enter the finish time here on the clock in hours, minutes, and seconds. So you need to capture hours, minutes, and seconds from Flip Clock or any other app you're using at the finish time. Then if that boat started and finished the race with 0 problems, you keep the status as OK and you click Save Result. You don't need to fill out any of these other fields. But if for any reason that wasn't the case, you would need to select from this list of drop-down values. If they didn't compete, you would select DNC. And then some other values that we might use here, you might select DNF, did not finish. Did not start implies that they came to the starting area but did not start. A disqualified would be if they kind of didn't take a penalty turn or something when they should have done and they were disqualified from the race. OCS on course side would be if a boat was over the line at the start and despite you trying to contact them, they never crossed back over the line and you didn't agree to give them a time penalty. They just completed the race but were over the start at the whole time. That is a little unlikely to happen because hopefully if they were over, you've honked the horn once, you've called them on the VHF and you've notified them that either they need to come back over the start line or that you'll give them a time penalty instead. And that's at your discretion as a race officer, but sometimes when it's quite light wind, it's better to give boats a time penalty because they could spend ages trying to get back over the line or not ever be successful. So you would instead select, I think it's this one, absolute time penalty, and then you would enter the value here. 5 minutes is kind of a good ballpark, but that's up to your discretion as to what time penalty you give. Then there's retired and some other values. Now, it's not essential that you select the exact right code here, but it is obviously good to record what happened in the race. And then there is another reason why we do it, which I will just show you. And that is that boats have a different scoring depending on whether they came to the starting area or they did not. So let's just take a look at that. And this is entirely, you don't need to click into these screens. I'm just showing you this for your information. But if you click on the series and edit the series, you'll see here that we have it set up so that if you get any of these codes, except for did not compete, you get a score equivalent to the number of boats participating plus 1. And that is different than if you got the DNC did not compete code, which means you never came to the starting area, you never attempted to participate in this race, in which case you get the number of boats competing plus 2. And this very small adjustment has been made to try to encourage boats to at least come and try to participate in order to pick up a little bit of a better score. So that's the only distinction that really matters here in these codes, DNC versus everything else. Okay, that was a digression. Let's go back to entering new results, which is what you were doing. And so basically you would be entering the results for all of the boats that participated. No need to save anything on this screen, you just save when you enter the results for each boat. So click Save Result and you're done. Okay, so now you want to review the results and go down and share them with the participants, and there's a few different ways you can do that. Clicking under the Results tab again, you've got an option here to review and edit results. And so you go to the autumn series and click edit results here. And this would be really if you wanted to go back and edit the result, but it's also a good way just to see the results. So now you can see a few things. You can see the overall place of the boats and how they finished in the race after the handicap was applied. You can see the handicap that was applied here, the name of the boat. Then you can see their finish time, which was the time that you entered, the calculated elapsed time from the start, the corrected time after the handicap is applied, and then the number of points that they'll be given. You can also see the next handicap, because under the NHC system, any boat that your handicap is adjusted after each race, according to the formula, which you can find online if you want to consult it, but it's all automated here in the software. So, for example, Knud finished first in this race. Their starting handicap was the base handicap for their boat, so not really calibrated. But because they did well, their handicap went up a few percentage points. Whereas Lena, who was also their first race, and they had got the handicap equivalent to Rosebud, they didn't do so well on corrected time, so their handicap has got a little bit easier for the next race. And so that's going to be happening after every race. So you could, at this point, choose to kind of download these results. You could do it into Excel, but I wouldn't recommend that. I'd actually go back to the results tab, and I would do public access to results. And so you could print the results here, which is going to generate a PDF view of the results. There, which you could then print, or you could use the URL sharing link. Again, go back to results, public access to results, link to specific series, and then autumn series here. Take this URL, copy it, and put it in a new tab, and you will see the results here, the same information displayed as before. This is a public URL, so it's the URL that we'll share each week in the Tuesday night announcements. We can share it on WhatsApp after the race as well, so that people can review the results in detail. And that is all that you need to know. You would now kind of go down to the bar and announce the race results and congratulating everybody for taking part. But if you did need to make any adjustments, you could always come back here and do that. The one thing to be aware of is that sometimes these results tables can take a few minutes to update. I find that the software, the sort of processing behind this is a little bit slow when it comes to kind of updating data. So just refresh a few times and be a bit patient if you made an edit and it doesn't seem to be reflecting. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being race officer, and I hope that video was helpful.